What is going on, college basketball fans? Today I'm giving you guys more top players still available in the transfer portal. And this is kind of going to be a part 2 to my last video where I did the top 10 players still available. This is going to be 11 through 20. And I am also going to give you guys my prediction to which team they will play for next season. I'm ready to get it started. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button if you guys enjoy. And let's go. All right, so coming in here at number 11, I have a transfer out of Alabama University, and he was a freshman last season. It is Jalen Bradley, and last season for Alabama, he did average 7 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game, along with a steal per game. But he was a 5-star freshman coming out of high school. He still has 3 years of eligibility remaining, and he has a ton of potential as a two-way guard. And I'm not going to lie, Jalen Bradley, it was very hard to find which teams are currently contacting him, trying to get a hold of him, but any team would be stupid not to be contacting Jalen Bradley right now. So there is no real word on which teams he is really considering right now, but my way too early prediction for Jalen Bradley is North Carolina. North Carolina was heavily going after him out of high school, and they actually received a few crystal balls to pick him up out of high school. So I'm going to say right now, North Carolina may be one of the favorites to pick him up. But like I said, very low key, couldn't find anything just yet. Way too early prediction is North Carolina. Coming in here at number 12, I do have the transfer from Utah State, and that is Stephen Ashworth. And he was a super good player for the Aggies last season, still 1 year of eligibility, and he did average 16 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and 4.5 assists per game. Now, unlike Jalen Bradley, we have word on Stephen Ashworth's final 5, and here are the teams that are in his final 5. Creighton, BYU, Washington, Gonzaga, and returning to Utah State is actually in his final 5. So I do believe that returning to Utah State could be a possibility for him. But I am going to say that Stephen Ashworth commits to the Creighton Blue Jays. I think that he could replace Ryan Nembhard, who we talked about last video in our top 10, and be the point guard to this Creighton team, and Creighton can still have a really good season next year because they are returning some really good players like Trey Alexander, so that would be a really fun backcourt right there. That is my prediction, Stephen Ashworth to Creighton next season. Coming in here at number 13, I do have Posh Alexander, the transfer out of St. John's. Last season, he did average 10 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game, along with 2 steals per game. Now, the 3 teams very interested in Posh Alexander right now are Seton Hall, Butler, and Central Florida, and I think one of those teams will probably pick him up. I really do think that Posh Alexander is going to stay in the Big East Conference, so that leaves Seton Hall and Butler, and I'm pretty confident that Posh Alexander will commit to Seton Hall and play for Shaheen Holloway, staying in the Big East, staying close to the New York area. They're in New Jersey. I think it makes sense. That is going to be my prediction for Posh Alexander. Coming in at number 14, I do have Musa Sidy. Now, he is a transfer out of Oklahoma State, and he did, before that, play for Memphis for a season as well. Last season, he did average 7 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 2 blocks per game, and he is a former Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Now, the teams I see most interested in Sidy, there are a lot: Ole Miss, Central Florida, Cincinnati, Kansas State, LSU, UCLA, TCU, Memphis, could return back to Memphis, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Syracuse, and UNLV. Now, I could see him going to a lot of these teams, but I am going to say at this point, kind of a shot in the dark because there are so many teams still interested in him. I'm going to say that Sidy returns back to Memphis. Memphis has a big hole at that 5-spot position. They could use a guy like Sidy who can block shots, be that anchor on their team, and I think he could return there and play for Memphis. Coming in here at number 15, I do have a transfer out of Florida State University, and that is Matthew Cleveland. Last season, he did average 14 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, and again, a lot like Cisse, there are a lot of teams interested in Matthew Cleveland, and here they are: SMU, Texas, Wake Forest, Pitt, Kansas State, Georgia, Missouri, Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas is interested in every player that is in the portal. NC State, Miami, Texas A&M, Indiana, Auburn, and Michigan. Now, this one I kind of feel confident in for some reason. Like, with all these teams listed at this point, I should not be confident with my prediction, but I am pretty certain that Matthew Cleveland will be an Auburn Tiger next season. I think he's going to commit to play for Auburn, and I think it would be an amazing pickup for Bruce Pearl. Coming in here at number 16, I do have Nick Timberlake, the transfer out of Towson University. He still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, and last season he did average 17 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. There are 3 teams that I see very heavily going after Nick Timberlake, and they look like the 3 favorites, and he did actually say on Twitter himself that he is making his announcement later on sometime this week, but I think it is between these 3 teams. UConn, your defending national champions, they are looking like the favorites at this point. North Carolina, also in on a guy like Harrison Ingram, so look out for North Carolina. Kansas, they are another team that are in on Harrison Ingram. I believe that Harrison Ingram, who was in the last video, is between North Carolina and Kansas, so whoever does not get Ingram really will want to get Timberlake, but I believe that he is going to go to neither of those 2 schools, and I think he is going to head up to UConn and commit to the Huskies to play next season. Coming in at number 17, I do have a transfer out of Maryland, and that is Hakeem Hart, a really good shooter, underrated player in the transfer portal right now, and I believe he is down to just a couple of teams, honestly. He is currently on a visit with Villanova, and I also see that Kansas is in the mix as well. Last season for Maryland, he did average 11 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. And like I said, between Nova and Kansas, he is from Philadelphia. So I am going to say that my prediction is for Hakeem Hart to commit to Villanova. Coming in here at number 18, I do have Oliver Kamwa, the transfer out of Tennessee. 1 year of eligibility remaining. He did average 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists last season for the Volunteers. And I am going to limit this list down to 1 team. I am expecting an Oliver Kamwa announcement, commitment to Michigan very soon. I think that Kamwa will be a Wolverine next season, and I am really certain of that. There are other teams that could be in the mix, but it is looking like Michigan has their guy. Next up, coming in here at number 19, I do have a transfer out of Harvard, and it is Chris Ledlum. He still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, and last year for Harvard, he did average 19 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and an assist per game, and there are 4 teams really going after Ledlum right now, and it is looking like those are his final 4, and there are 2 that I still believe have a really good chance at picking him up. Those 4 teams are St. John's, Indiana, Tennessee, and Villanova. Now, I believe that Villanova already picked up TJ Bamba. They are going after guys like Hakeem Hart, which I did predict that he is going to commit there. I think Chris Ledlum is not going to go to Villanova as well. Tennessee, I could see him going to Tennessee, but the 2 teams that I think are the favorites to land Ledlum right now are St. John's and Indiana. Indiana already getting a guy like Khalil Ware earlier in the offseason, and I think Indiana gets another guy here in Chris Ledlum. I could see him going to play for Rick Pitino. The Big East is looking really good for next season, and St. John's are going to be in the mix as well because they got a Hall of Fame head coach there now. But I think that Mike Woodson gets his guy right here, and Chris Ledlum is heading to the Hoosiers next year. 4 blocks per game, so if your team is in need of an anchor, this is the guy to pick up. There are a ton of teams still interested in Jamarion Sharp, but there are 4 teams that I feel are probably in his final 4. First, let's list all the teams that still have a shot at getting him. Florida, Florida State, NC State, Nebraska, Cincinnati, LSU, UNLV, Memphis, Wake Forest, Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, and Ole Miss. Now, out of those teams, the final 4 teams that I listed there are the teams that I feel have a really good shot at picking him up. Those 4 teams being Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, and Ole Miss. Now, early on, when Jamarion Sharp first entered the portal, it was looking like Missouri was actually the favorites to pick him up, and then he received a crystal ball to Ole Miss, and those rumors were starting to heat up. But just recently, Kentucky seemed to really pique their interest in trying to pick up Sharp, so I could see maybe him going to Kentucky. And you also can't count out Eric Musselman. He has gotten so many transfers so far, and he is in the mix of so many more. It is crazy how many players Arkansas is trying to go after, but overall, I am going to stick with my original prediction from when Jamarion Sharp first entered the portal, and I'm going to say that he commits to Missouri and is a Tiger next season. But that is going to do it for my 11 through 20 available transfers right now and where I think they are going to commit to. Let me know down below in the comment section, do you guys want to see my most underrated transfer players still available right now as a video? If so, that will be out very soon. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. More college basketball content, college football content will be starting soon here on the channel. You don't want to miss it. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.